if you do need to leave early, please let myself, Frankie, or Catherine know. Chief Staff Gracie and President Pro Tem Gracie to know, so that we can account for quorum. We were not at quorum last week, and we were unable to vote on emergency funding because of that. So a general reminder for the future to just communicate effectively those situations. Move on to the approval of the minutes. The minutes were sent out last week with the agenda. Not last week, yesterday with the agenda. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no corrections to the minutes are approved. We're now moving to the approval of the agenda, which was also sent out yesterday. Is there any corrections to the agenda? Being that no one has any corrections to the agenda is approved. We will now move to give the floor to Tim Wilson, our guest speaker today.
How are you? I hate that Mark's not here because and I've been talking for a few weeks on this subject, the Wi-Fi access. There was a survey that was done. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he had asked for you to give some questions, prior questions. So I have those with me, but I didn't know if there was anybody that had any questions that may not be on this list. Do I need to use this? Is this what records? Does this record everything?
That's just a microphone.
Okay, so there's not recording or anything.
It's not recording.
I tend to like to talk.
I mean, we have the UVs here,
so
recording our meetings.
Okay, you can pick it up then? Okay. Are there any other questions other than what's on this paper? Because what I want to do is kind of go down through here. I think I have some decent news for you, but then some further requests on some things. Because the survey that went out was a great survey, right? It did, it accomplished a lot, let us know some things, and I have an idea of where we might go with the data that's in that survey. In order to get at some of what is in that survey, we're going to need to know a lot more specifics on some things. But to this point, let me tell you what has gone on. So, all right. Yeah. Okay. So, basically, I think when did the survey go out? Does anybody remember when the survey went out? A month ago?
Yeah, within the last month.
So, the Wi-Fi situation. First, let me extinguish the whole idea that the Wi-Fi system on campus is dated in any respect. Actually, it's probably as robust as you can have a Wi-Fi system. It's one of the most expensive that you can have. It's a Cisco product. It should do us just fine. We actually just finished putting the last bits of the Wi-Fi access points in. So from an infrastructure standpoint, from a standpoint of the equipment being timely and dated correctly and not too old and things like that, I don't think that we have anything to worry there. What went on with this thing is I will tell you this. So Microsoft released a patch. We get patches from manufacturers all the time for our equipment. Microsoft released a patch for its Xbox game systems. And so, like we should, we read about the patch, applied the patch. They don't do a very good job at explaining everything that a patch will do sometimes. So, unbeknownst to us, we applied the patch, which we should, right? It's supposed to help the performance of gaming systems. Any of you who have Xboxes, it's supposed to help do whatever it needs to do to help those systems play on a Wi-Fi network. We apply this patch, and basically what it did is it changed some configuration settings across campus on all of our access points. And so the configuration settings that it changed were to time you out with any type of inactivity for 5 minutes. So what it would do is if you sat your phone down or you're sitting with your computer and you're listening in class, it would drop you after 5 minutes if you didn't do any kind of interactive work where you're going out to our network and doing something. Bad thing. We didn't have it set that way. In addition to that, not only would it do that, but even if you were doing something, in a half an hour, it would drop you and force you to re-authenticate. We've recently made those changes back. The good thing about your survey is that you brought it to our attention, right? So it forced us to take a look at what was going on around campus. We knew we had bought a robust Wi-Fi system, and we knew we made improvements. Like I don't know how many of you were around last year when I reported to you, and we talked about, how we made changes. One of the things that we made a mistake on, the past Wi-Fi systems that we had, we hung the access points in the hallway, and if you live in Lawrence Hall, that was built at a time when they really built buildings. So if there's ever a tornado, go to this building and grab onto a wall because it's not going anywhere. Problem with Wi-Fi is that when the walls are this thick, it doesn't make it through the curtain well. So we didn't do a very good job of covering that. The investment that we made, and why I'm pretty confident if we get the configuration stuff down, right? And I'll go through this list, so I have some comments on things that are on here, is that in each of the residence hall spaces, we have access points. They're called hospitalities. So we treat you just like you would be treated in a hotel room somewhere. In a hotel room, you'll have an access point, more than likely, inside of that room that you can jump onto a network for and do whatever you need to do, and it's pretty good. It should act the same here when it comes to your Wi-Fi in your residence hall spaces. And it shouldn't drop you. Now, is it a perfect science all the time? Because one of the things on here that was in the survey, and one of the questions on here too talks a little bit about the boulevard apartments. And we are dealing with that a little bit in the sense that, if I'm not mistaken, at least my network engineer tells me this, and I think when I've been in these buildings, if you go in this building over here, there's 2 towers to it, and you have like a space in the middle. So you have Tower A and Tower B, and you have a space in the middle, and there's windows that look out to the space. For some reason, and we don't know how to control this, we're trying to figure it out. For some reason, it seems to be that sometimes when you turn devices on, even though that hospitality is in that specific space in Boulevard, it tries to pick up the hospitality that is across the courtyard. So one of the things that we were wanting to do with the next bit of info I need you folks to help me with is we want to send out another type of survey to get more specifics on things. Get specific rooms and things of that sort. So I'm going to make a request to you at the end, and I'll reiterate it at the end again, to spread the word. We need this stuff specifically reported to our help desk. Because what that's going to do is they're trained to say, okay, what room are you in? What time are you experiencing this? All of those kinds of things. And then so we can go back and look at logs, and we can take a look at what was going on, and we can visit people in their rooms. Because what we think is that with the configuration change, we may have solved some of the things that are on this list. Is it everything on the list? Absolutely not. Because we literally just finished the total install of this thing over the summer. So this is brand new to us. So the other thing that it's going to help us with, that you're going to be able to help us with, is locating down specific places that we might have dead spots. I'm not saying that we have perfect coverage everywhere on this campus. What I will tell you, though, is that if we can identify where those spots are, we'll put better coverage in. And so I think one thing on here, and again, I'll go down through the list, but I think somebody was talking about the study rooms in the UC. That's a great example of the type of information we need. Specifically, it's the UC. Specifically, it's the study rooms downstairs in the UC. So now we can go down there and take a look at, okay, I'm down here, they're block walls this thick, We probably don't have hospitalities in each of those rooms. Maybe we put hospitalities in there, just like we do in a residence hall space, right? So a little mix of evolution of things here. I think we can get to it. I've had a number of conversations with Mark on this. This is a very big topic for you folks. It's the nature of the generation, right? This, you use the Wi-Fi, you do things with it. I do a little, but not like you. I know that you're bringing 4 and 5 different devices on an average to this campus. If you're a resident here, you're bringing those devices with you, between 4 and 5 different devices. And so a lot of those are Wi-Fi enabled devices, and you use them in that. So we're going to make it right. I just need you to work with me on that. We've got the infrastructure. I think what it boils down to is we just need to find the dead spots. And so you represent constituents. They elected you to these positions because that you represent a certain group of constituents of this campus. If you have regular communications with them, as specific as we can be, or you can be, I'm getting information back to Mark, and so we can have a conversations around it better. We do want to follow up. One thing that I am going to do is we want to follow up with a survey. I will talk to Mark about that, and let us word some of the things in the survey to get a little bit more specific than we got with the original survey. Fair? So let's go down through the list. Do you have time? I don't know how much time you have. How much time did you give me?
Does anyone need to leave early between now and 4:30?
I promise you I'll spin down through it as fast as I can, but there's a lot of questions on here, and I don't want to be rude and let anybody's questions go unanswered.
Okay. Yeah, you should be good.
Okay? You can cut me off if you need.
All right.
Okay? So the first one, why did the Ethernet not work in people's dorm rooms? That absolutely should work. Is this, see, this one, I don't know who asked this question, if they're in there. Are there specific rooms? Every Ethernet port in every room should work. There's no question it should work. So if I knew specifics as to what rooms, I'll send people to those rooms and they will work. I promise you that. They should work. Okay, so staff, Frankie Racy.
King staff, Frank, yes. She is not here. She needs to go.
Okay. Well, I know that, and I'm going to address that. I'm going to find out where she lives, and we're going to address that for us later. And then this, when I talked about the Ethernet, if it's just the Ethernet ports in here, we'll make those work if we know where the specifics for. So if any of you live in Boulevard Apartments, or you represent constituents in Boulevard Apartments, I got to know exactly what rooms that aren't working, and we will make those work for you. When can students expect improvements? I think you can probably expect improvements now. We've made those changes to the configurations. You should not drop. If you're sitting here in this room, you should not drop, right? If you drop now, we have some kind of coverage problem. If you find yourself in a specific classroom, and you go to that classroom and you're in there 2 times a week for 16 weeks, and you find yourself dropping from here on out, we need to know specifically what room that is. Okay, we'll take a look at that for you. Then somebody asked, I had mentioned about 12 to 1,800 connections established daily. That is on the low side. That's a conservative number. We have probably in the 2,000s, 2,500 different connections on this campus on any given day. That is all logged. That is audited and things of that sort. And we have that information. So we know when people log on. We're not watching what you do. I promise you, we're not watching what you do. We do sometimes get copyright notices from the federal government, and we know what you're doing. We approach people about that kind of thing. But when you come to a university campus, just to let you know, different than a K-12 campus, we don't censor your adults. You've got them, right? So, but there are a number of different connections on here, and you're correct. Whoever wrote this question, many different devices are connecting to this network. The education of students. So So we sent something out in our newsletter. We can do more education for sure and let people know. Anybody freshman? Okay, let me ask you this question. When you came on campus, was there anything in your welcome packets that talked about the Wi-Fi? Did it help me out?
I got an email about how to connect everything. I
Okay.
don't know about.
When did you get that email, Zane? Was
I
it
got
in the
it-
summer or was it in the fall? Because IT sent one out in the summer and then someone within sales sent one out in the fall.
I
Because-
got one in August.
Okay, so that was the summer.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
didn't think August 20th.
The person in sales sent one out in the fall because people weren't knowing how to connect the things, and we figured that it would be a better way to reach the students via campus announcement.
So what I think we need to do is move to a situation where I'm sure you get some type of welcome packet. True statement. I don't know. You get a welcome packet as a freshman? Probably should have some information in the welcome packet to how to connect with help. And we can move to that now. More specifically, the question gets into, Apple TV, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, PlayStation. Are we going to have instructions on all of these devices? No, we're not going to have instructions on all of these different devices. What those devices will tell you is here's the directions, where to click, what to do to connect to the Wi-Fi SSID, right, that you want to connect to, and here's the process. We could never cover all of these various devices. Because one, the minute if we were able to cover all of these, the minute that we would get to the point of covering all of these, there would be a new version of a Nintendo Switch, a new version of an Apple TV. You see what I'm saying? It just goes on and on and on and on. So, but what we can do is get better with, here's how you do connect, here's the SSID that you connect to, and any kind of intricacies related to that. Most people are just stationary sitting down when they lose connections here and it stops working, goes back to that configuration. A lot of these in here go back to exactly what I was talking about with the configuration changes. Long-term strategies, there's no investments to be made because we actually have a robust system. We just need to find the dead spots of it. Long-term strategies, we need to educate a little bit better, right? Students coming in, making sure that you're aware of how to connect, what to do. Mac labs, I would like to know what, this one, I don't know who. Why do Mac labs have poor connections?
I think I asked that
Did you,
question.
which lab?
All of them.
All labs.
I, on a regular basis, like at least 2+ times a week, go into any of the Mac labs in there, and if it's not one of the set up Macs already, it's my laptop, and I'll be working on something and then my internet will just drop.
When was the last time that happened?
Saturday. It was 6th floor in there.
Okay. See, that's good data.
Well, so I don't know if Mark sent you this or not.
Yeah, we were supposed to get a copy of that.
Yeah, we have
Yes.
all of the locations that you were referring to, asking about, specific
There's
spots are all
specific
in the
rooms,
packet.
not everyone gave specific locations, but we did get a few of those, we put those on.
Okay. Yeah, specific rooms would be helpful. See specific locations in West Penn. That's beautiful. West Penn 207, 208. So it looks like second floor, maybe some on seven. Okay, perfect. Is this a copy?
You keep it.
Yeah, you can keep it, we have a bunch of other ones.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
So Mac labs, good. We'll look at that. Dead zones on college campus, I'll refer to this list and look for more specifics maybe from this list. Strength for systems. Connection zones. Again, if there's dead spots, we'll address those dead spots. Specifically, there should be no dead spots in people's residence hall rooms. So if you're hearing that there is a consistent problem in somebody's room, we need to know exactly what room that might be, because we need to address that, because there is literally access points within that space itself. One of the challenges might be Boulevard of the Apartments with access, people trying to connect, and it tries to connect to an access point across the way. We're trying to figure out some things on that. University Center. So lower level study rooms. Maybe a place where we look at putting the APs in the rooms.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Who? Yes.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
I want to say what I've noticed in my experience is that there's different rates of access to the internet. I live in Boulevard. Yeah. My phone will connect to the Wi-Fi. However, my TV constantly gets out of the Wi-Fi. However, the TV is connected in the room. I take my phone everywhere. It's the lifeblood, you know. That will connect easily to the Wi-Fi. However, it's my TV that has the issue with it.
Okay.
And so I thought that would be interesting to bring up because they're two different devices, but they're both connected differently for
When you have issues with that TV, do you know, because it may remember the SSID, have you ever gone back in there and taken a look at the SSID to know if it's different than what's on the phone? And there were, have you? Okay. What's your room number?
It is 411, 4th floor, Tower A.
It's what now? Fourth floor, 411, Tower A, Boulevard. Do you mind if we get somebody up there?
No problem.
Because if we're experiencing, maybe with what's going on with your space, it may be the duplicate problem with other spaces. So if you can work with us a little bit, I'll send somebody up there, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Senator Atkins has a question.
Are you supposed to be able to get onto the Wi-Fi when you're in Village Park?
Okay, yeah, so we have an access point as close to the windows as we can out here to broadcast out into that park.
Yeah.
If that is a heartache for people, we can see about outside access points. Would that be something that
Yes.
would help?
Yeah.
Village Park was one of the more,
Yeah, more frequent.
frequent responses to the survey. It acts a lot of students seeing. So I think it would be benefit most students to look into that.
So like an outdoor, what we thought is we would get away with putting an access point in one of these windows out here and it would get far enough out, but I guess it probably wasn't. It's a good, so outdoor grade access point in the village.
Obviously, since it's like gonna get super cold out, it's probably not like a necessity immediately. But I was just curious
Yeah.
when it was nice out, nights out there.
Yeah, of course, 100%. It's not that expensive to do that, so, yeah.
I just think this is important to say. I do really appreciate the effort you're putting into it because I understand, like, you know, Wi-Fi can be frustrating because we live in buildings all across campus within buildings that were built in an era that did not take into account of modern society's technology.
Right.
And so I do genuinely understand. And so, like, I just kind of want to say thank you for all the effort. I completely get that it's, like, probably really difficult. And I want to say that because, you know, there's a ton of questions being like, why is it working? This. I appreciate the work.
But here's the deal, and this is what I told Mark too when we met on this. It does no good, where's the globe in here? It does no good to complain about it and then not work with me to try to come up with a thing to fix it, right? It would do no good for me to not come and address you when you send me a list of questions like that. Or Mark comes to me and says, hey, we got a problem here, we need to fix this thing, right? It's a true problem. For me to ignore it would be no good, right? So I appreciate you saying that. If you're willing to work with me, I'm willing to work with you. We put too much money into this Wi-Fi system that we have, which is extremely robust. trust me, it's a robust system to just drop it now. We're like at the 90th percent place, you know, we just gotta push it to another 10%, we got it perfect here. But it's not a perfect science. There's some challenges with being downtown. And I was hoping, actually, that there was a person from the Globe who had interviewed me when all of this came up, and the survey came out and all of that. And the young lady sent me a bunch of interview questions. I took the time of doing it, and none of them were put in paper. They would have addressed a lot of what you're talking about here. I explained a lot of what I'm mentioning to you folks. So if you could help me kind of spread the word, that would be great. But I appreciate it. And I think Mark is committed to working with me on it, and we'll figure it out. Just going to take getting some specifics and getting it figured out.
Senator Samora has a question.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, hi. So I know that we all have the opportunity, if particularly one of us had an issue with Wi-Fi in like our dorms and things like that. But for outside students, where exactly can they go to tell them their Wi-Fi issues?
Oh gosh, outside students, help desk.
Just to help us.
Absolutely. That help desk is the entry point into IT. Because basically what that does, a ticket gets created. Immediately that ticket will be assessed, and it will be escalated up to a network engineer or somebody who can address what we're talking about here, and somebody will communicate back to you. If you do not, here's what I will say. If you do not get a response back from that help desk, there is a help desk manager that's over there. His name is Tom Luckwitz. You need to take your concern that you haven't heard anything back to that person, and he will address it, I promise you. That's the purpose of that help desk manager, to make sure that things flow through. I will tell you that we have hundreds and hundreds of tickets that come in. So we deal with not only Wi-Fi problems, but we deal with somebody in the business office not being able to print, to somebody who can't get on, in the registrar's office to do something with grades or transcripts, and we deal with it all when it comes to the computers. There's hundreds and hundreds of days. Do some things slip? Sure. Sometimes they slip. All right? But talk to that help desk manager. But the help desk is that entry point into IT. If that help desk manager doesn't respond to you, email me. Okay? I'll make sure that it gets taken care of. This isn't that large of a campus. The luxury of going to school at a university this size is that we're not that impersonal. Right? A little bit different than Pitt, a little bit different than Penn State. Probably would never, ever at Pitt or Penn State be addressed by this CIO, the university, right? So, or have access to that person. So take advantage of it. If you don't get your answer from that help desk manager, let me know, okay? Especially from people that are representing constituents or groups of students on this campus. You folks have stepped forward to do that. Wi-Fi accessibility, again, it's those configuration things that we talked about. Data indicates that students are having Wi-Fi issues on all floors of academic hall. If it is those specific issues where it's dropping connections, we've solved that. Have you received any input from faculty or staff? I'd have to go back and look at it. If it gets bubbled up to me, it's because something is happening that they can't take care of, and they need my direction on it. They may be taking care of things at the help desk. They get tickets, they field them. They field hundreds of them probably a day and take care of problems. So they may be taking care of problems. I would venture to say, given the configuration issue that we just had, they were experiencing the same thing that you were experiencing, no doubt. The difference is their work is probably done in an office on a hardwired connection. They don't probably experience the Wi-Fi like you experience it. You do most of your work in a wireless environment. They do most of their work in a standard wired environment. Experience Wi-Fi issues again. 17 is the same thing, I think. What will it take to add more access connections and points? We just need to know where they are. Just like what's out here in the park. We'll add something out there to make that more robust. If we knew where those spots were, if we go down to the basement of the UC, which I'm going to do, we go down to the basement of the UC and we need access points in each one of those rooms because the block walls this thick and the Wi-Fi access isn't getting in there, we'll put hospitalities in there. As easy as that. Okay? Just knowing where they are. And I think that's kind of the theme here. Yes?
So, something I want to bring up, I forgot if it was in there or not. Adobe access to students outside of campus. So, as an animation major, don't get me wrong, on average, every animation major is in the labs at least minimum 6 hours a day. We are using the labs. However, even outside of the labs, we're still working on Adobe. Even at our homes, we're still working on Adobe. It's, the passion, Well, most of us, and I've asked around, even though we are provided Adobe here within the labs, which is amazing, we still pay for our own subscriptions because it's required for our course. Because sometimes we have to work on a lot of projects, not just here, but also at home when we can't pull in all-nighters, et cetera, et cetera. Luckily I live on campus, but the majority of animation majors do not. And so, and it gets costly. I mean, we spend roughly $24 a month on an Adobe subscription throughout the entire year. Then we can't cancel it or we'll be fined like $80, which is, yeah.
So even though you're not taking the class that would need that, you still pay for it.
Yeah, we still have to pay for it or we have to pay for it more. And it's just not necessary. So for example, over the summer, if we were on campus and we wanted to work on work over the summer, because you have to constantly draw, you have to constantly keep up on it. We have to pay the, $24 a month over the summer, and then on top of that, if we were like, okay, well, I'm not really using like Adobe a lot, I would want to cancel it and not pay like $40, $50 over the summer for this, you'd end up having to pay $70 just or like $80 just to not use it for the summer, which doesn't make sense. And so that's why Mark and I were kind of talking about perhaps working with Point Park to maybe getting Adobe access, not only just for the labs, but for the animation majors throughout anywhere, if that's a possibility.
That, I will tell you this, that is not a technical issue as much as it is a budgetary issue. So what I would do is this, I would bring it up to your faculty. There is a faculty person who reports to a department chair, who reports then to a provost or an associate provost of some sort. If they can figure that part, the financial part of it out, we can roll that out to you all day long. We did it during COVID, right? We know how to do this. So it just, that it becomes a financial issue. And so technically, can we do it? 100%. All day long, every day, we've done it. We just had to reel that back when COVID happened. Because you have access to the labs. I get that that's not convenient for sure, and that's probably not the answer you wanted to hear. That's just the reality of it. But we can technically do it. Technically it's not an issue.
Yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it. It's just, I think even if it's ideally that would be awesome if we could do that for everybody or yada, yada, yada. But, at least for animation majors, for something that is core to the major and technology, trust me, I live in that lab. One of those private animating rooms has my name on it.
Good for you.
We're all in there, all the time. So I guess sometimes to kind of be able to escape from that a little bit and work somewhere else or work within the park or appreciate other spots of campus, from our own needs. Yeah, but I would definitely agree with that.
Bring that up, and you can mention to who's your faculty member? Is
I
it
believe
Jonathan?
yes, Mr. Jupiter.
Yep. Bring that up to him. He knows that we technically did this. And, he's pushing for it, too. So you talk to him about it. I'm very willing to work with him on this. It's really not a technical decision. It's not a decision I can make. It's more more of a financial decision. Go from there. Fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
So building sort of off of that into the same sort of realm. Whenever I work in a lab, there are specific programs through Adobe that I access at home that I can't access on campus. And to go through trying to download one of those, I need like an administrator login.
Yes.
Is there any reason behind that?
Yeah, so is it for class?
Yeah, well, I shoot content for our athletics, and I use specific programs through Adobe that aren't on the computers in the labs that I can use at home.
Is it part of the clouds? I'm not
Yeah,
up on
it's-
Adobe, so you're gonna have to help me.
Yeah, so there's a Lightroom Classic, and then there's another option for Lightroom that are all under the Adobe Cloud, like Creative Cloud, and then
Okay, and we own the license to Creative Cloud, it's just you can't install them, right?
yeah,
Is that true?
I can't install other programs that are through the Creative Cloud because I need administrator access on a computer.
That's by design.
Okay.
So we do that, we lock that down by design, and that's a cybersecurity kind of thing. So
Okay.
we do administrative access to the machine, and we gave everybody administrative access to
Yeah.
the machine, it would cause us to have exposure points that would be just ridiculous on this campus. So, now, if you could send me an email,
Okay.
tell me those applications. I want to first see that if we own those, which if we own the Creative Cloud, there's no reason.
Yeah.
If we do, then there's no reason why we can't load them on here. There's there might be other students who want to use those tools. I would rather load them on there and have students use everything that we pay for.
Yeah.
We're just loading specifically on there the things that would be directly tied to a class. But if there are other things that you use it to shoot stuff for athletics and things like that, and you have other students who are doing that kind of work, that's part of the learning experience too. So if I knew what those were, there's no cost then for, I have no problem. Yeah. Then I get somebody to do that has the administrative access.
Okay.
Once we load it on there, that you don't need the administrative access. It's just
Yeah.
installing it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yes?
This might be kind of a stupid question, but are we supposed to have like Wi-Fi in the library vault?
Ooh. Yeah, you're asking a good question. So getting Wi-Fi into a library vault, we might be able to figure that out. That's a little bit tough one. You don't drill through that.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have to be a
like,
bank robber to
every
do
time I
that.
go in there, I'm never able to get Wi-Fi, and I understand why. But
Yeah.
I'm like, is there any way that it could possibly happen?
I promise I will look into that. That might be actually just a challenge. See if we can do that. I'll credit you for that. We'll put your name on the Wi-Fi, SSID or something like that. All right. So, okay. Any other? Can I just take 2 more minutes?
Yeah, I'd say thank you so much.
Want to switch off the Wi-Fi if we have no other questions about that. So one of the other things that I talked to Mark about, one of the things that we're moving to on this campus is to get a little bit more robust in what we do from a public safety standpoint, some of the technology that we give you. So right now, we have 2 applications that run on this campus. So we have something called Omni Alert, which you know is Point Alert. So have you ever gotten an alert on your phone or sent to your email or something like that? There's a problem down this street or that street or something like that. That's Omni Alert, or what you know is Point Alert. Then there's this other application that it's called Tips 411. It just seems kind of like a non-emergent thing that you can report in. So I went to looking at what those 2 applications do. And we are going to be moving, matter of fact, we just started the technical implementation of something called Rave Mobility. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before. You can see kind of what it is if on your Android or your Apple device, the University of Florida runs this application. You go out there and do a search for Gator Safe. Basically, that's an application that you can download as a student, and it does a lot of things. So it's going to give you alerts on there. It's going to give you weather alerts for our area. It's going to give you an an opportunity to use your phone, it's all through your phone, to use your phone as an emergency button kind of thing to report a problem on campus, right? It's going to do some other things too that we're not, it's going to get, it'll end up getting you text messages and all of what we're doing right now with some expanded kinds of things. One of the other things that we're going to start is we will build what is called, I don't know if you've ever heard of the term a geofence around our campus, but we're going to build a geofence around this campus. And it's going to allow you to do what is called friend walks. Have you ever heard of that in any other campuses before? Where you can actually go on the application, the app itself, and you can say, hey, you know, it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to walk from the UC, I'm going to walk from the library, I'm going to walk to the Boulevard Apartments. And so I want to initiate a friend walk with somebody. So let's say your roommate or somebody else that you know, you want to initiate a friend walk. It will send an alert to that person, and that person can accept it, and then they can watch the dots on the screen. They can watch you move from A to B. And so if you don't arrive, if you don't get to that destination, if you deviate from that path, they can alert somebody to come help you. So we're trying to tip the scale a little bit about being more proactive with some things. It's going to allow for you to put in emergency issues. If your friends have a medical issue on campus or something like that, you can hit that thing and it will go to our police department. We're going to be a lot more attentive to, unfortunately, in this world that we live, the unfortunate things that happened in Maine are a thing that just happens, right? And so the issues with mass shootings and active shooters and all of that kind of stuff, we're going to play in that area with some of the technology we're going to deploy, right? So faculty and staff will have the ability to signal for an active shooting situation. It will trigger events on this campus for messaging and things like that. We're going to get a lot more real with that stuff. Not that we weren't doing it good before, but we're going to get a lot more aggressive with it coming up. Okay. The reason why I bring that up is to let you know that we are signing a contract on that. We're in the middle of the implementation, technical implementation, setting the servers up and things of that sort. And then we will move into the stage where we're going to work with our marketing folks. We're going to work with admissions because I think that you know, freshmen, you took tours. Tours are probably something that you guys did, right? And so we need to get a lot better with sharing with, I don't know how much they talk about public safety. Did they talk about public safety on your tour? They should have, right? We have an accredited police department. We have close to 500 security cameras on this campus. We have locking systems. We have tailgating systems. Now we're going to have this app, this app to help keep you safe. Those things need to be shared right up front with freshmen coming in. So admissions is going to be involved in this. I want to get student government involved in this. One of the things that I've talked to Mark about is who needs to be involved in this, because we're going to hold project meetings, and I want some students from student government, because you've already taken a step forward to take an active effort in making our campus better. So I think that you're primed for somebody to be involved in listening to what's going on as we go through this. So I've already talked to Mark about it. The other thing, it's a safety thing too, and I promise I'm gone. I know I have the floor. When I get the floor here, I'd like to talk to you guys. The other thing that we've done is you've probably seen those triangle things come down off of the walls, those emergency buttons that have the light on them, and I think they have the time display. Not very good. That technology came in before we were playing public safety. Those came down. Now you see a silver box that's there. So we're replacing those. We're actually going to put more of those up. You'll see more of those things go up. They're very cost effective for us. You push one of those buttons and it instantly goes down to our public safety unit down there. They answer it, and we'll be able to broadcast messages out to those things. So spread the word. The chief of police is going to put a message out about those things, but they are soft launched right now. They are active. And so if somebody was to push a button, and now there's stickers going up, say emergency call box or something. I think that's it. And I'll turn the floor back over to you. I'm sorry to took all your time, but this is important.
Thank you.
Cool.
Mr. Wilson, Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, folks. Tell Mark I missed him.
I did just realize that I forgot to take roll call here at the beginning of our meeting here. So I'm going to quickly do that before we continue on. I apologize for that. That's on me. I was just trying to make sure we had quorum before the beginning of the meeting. I got distracted by that and forgot to take roll call. So President Palumbo is excused for COPA Common Hour. Chief Staff Bracy is not feeling well today, so they are excused. Treasurer Carter is also at COPA Common Hour. Parliamentarian Rains is here. Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Chair Broyard is here. Communications Director Bova here. Corps Secretary Foxell here. Graphic Design Coordinator Frizzell. President Pro Tem Board Messengers traveling back from South Dakota today, so they are excused. Senator Marinari is not here, did not provide excusal, so they are unexcused. Senator Tudor. Senator Mahan is catching up on some coursework. I figured since we are all students first, that would be an excusable absence today. Senator Wagenhofer is attending a faculty committee meeting today. Senator Ria. Senator Tate is at the, oh, you're here? Okay, perfect. I thought you were at the president today. Mark said something. I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. Senator Woodyard went home. That's all the information I received, so I will try and see what the exact excusal for that is. Senator Harris. Senator Barkley is not here and did not provide excuse. Senator Samora. Senator Brown has rehearsal and is excused. Senator Adams. Senator Rangel. Senator Pearson did not provide excusal and is not here. Neither did Senator McLaughlin. Senator McHugh. And Senator Atkins. And then are any of our, I don't believe any of our Senator Larges are here, but they all have class, so of course they are excused. Once again, I apologize for not doing that at the beginning of our meeting. I got preoccupied with some things beforehand, but we got that out of the way. We can move on. We'll move to our first open floor. Does anyone have anything for the first open floor? Senator Samora.
I have a question, and I don't know if it could be answered, but the other day we all received like that email, like that duplicate where you were supposed to send your login information. Do we remember that? I don't know.
What was the email?
It was like an email saying that your Outlook information was like outdated, and you needed to send in your like information about it, and it was like going on. But I don't know. I just want to know how that happened. If anything of that got fixed.
Was it
I think it was Google.
I believe that was a phishing. It might have been a phishing email.
Yeah.
I would contact IT and make sure that that's not the case. But I'm almost positive that was a phishing email because I don't think everyone here got that email.
No, I got it.
Senator Rangel,
I reported that to IT and
they said it was a phishing email. So yeah, did you have your hand up? Anything else for our first open floor? All right. We will move to reports of the executive cabinet. I did not receive a report from President Palumbo. As for, so we'll move on to my report. As for me, attendance is something I wanted to discuss as we went over in the roll call. There are a number of individuals who have unexcused absences today, which, in my opinion, is unexcusable, as you made a commitment to this organization. Just try and communicate. If you aren't going to be able to make a meeting, you have a doctor's appointment or class or something, just try and communicate that with me, Frankie, or Catherine. We all have a Discord server to communicate all that with, so we all have it in one place now. But we're trying to make sure people communicate those absences. Which also brings me to my next point, communication within SGA. I feel like we're on the right track with communicating with each other, but again, as with the attendance example, I feel like we could do a little bit of a better job. Just make sure you communicate your general needs. If you're not going to make a committee meeting or a legislative body or for the executive cabinet, an executive cabinet meeting. Overall, I think communication has been an upward direction, but there's just some things I thought needed to be discussed. And the creation of an ad hoc Adobe committee, as I stated in my report last week, I plan on motion to create an ad hoc committee for Adobe, which, as vice president, is the only motion I'm able to make is for an ad hoc committee. As it says in the Constitution, that any member of the SGA can move to create an ad hoc committee. So we will be doing that in old business today, as that was something left over from last meeting. Chief of Staff Gracie is not here and did not provide any report. They were working on a color art survey, a food survey. So I'll make sure that was sent out in campus announcement on Thursday. Make sure you guys fill that out. We got some QR codes for that in the office. I think Mark wanted to have people distribute some of those flyers that we have in the office. I'm not 100% sure on that. But just make sure you get the word out about the color art survey. Because, well, I understand Chief of Staff Gracie would like to report. Parliamentarian reigns. All right, thank you. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Chair Brouillard.
Just Multicultural Festival is booked for March 8th.
All right, thank you. Recording Secretary Boxell.
Not much to report, just still working on the website. Probably have that done by the end of the week. So.
All right, thank you. Treasurer Carter is not here, but did provide a report for us today, of which I will read. Hello again, dear senators. I regret that my comment on our workshop is a 2-week commitment, but here we are, or rather there. I am now. We do have 2 cases of emergency funding to review today. And I hope you favor both requests. Request 1 hails from the American Society for Civil Engineering. This request has rolled over from last week as we did not reach quorum and thus did not vote. ASCE has rescheduled their event to accommodate this delay. ASCE requests $78.92 for pizza and sodas. I suggest voting in favor of this request. ASCE reached out to me prior to the fall 2 deadline for clarification on the request. The club has a private account to the engineering department, so we decided they would not need SGA funds. The treasurer did not learn until after allocations that they would not be able to purchase the pizzas they had planned to have at their event using the club debit card. Because ASCE has been communicative and in an unprecedented situation and has been cooperative and compliant with our process, I feel this request should be granted. Request 2 comes from the Pioneer Careers Association. They are hosting a career conference with the Student Human Resources Association and the Student Accounting Association that will welcome neighboring universities to our campus. PCA was previously allocated $194.99 for this event. But in further planning, add increase their allocation to accommodate the anticipated attendance. Their new requested total is $302.90, a $107.91 increase. Thus, PCA requests $107.91 for their collaborative career conference refreshments. PCA has been another communicative and cooperative group and is the representative for 3 clubs contributing to the event. I encourage this request to be approved. Should both these requests be approved, $709.23 will be left in the emergency fund for fall 2, which I feel is appropriate and comfortable for our budget. MC also puts Treasurer Carter is available for spring refresher training. Finance Committee successfully distributed fall 2 allocations, processing 27 requests totaling $13.3 Cuts were made to stay on budget. The affected clubs were given the opportunity to appeal our decisions and reopen the conversation. No appeals were submitted, so our cuts must have been sensible or at least not detrimental to the club functions. November shall be a month to reap the benefits of careful planning. All clubs have what they need should any issues arise during the execution of events and programs. We have a comfortable emergency fund available to groups that have followed our processes should they encounter unforeseen obstacles. Treasurer Carter is available for refresher training, and all club presidents and treasurers have access to the SGA funding resources folder to ensure clarity and ease into the spring semester. Given our commitment to our budget and budget plan and budget priority guidelines, we are on track to increase the funds available to be allocated to the clubs in the spring. And that concludes Treasurer Carter's report. Included in there, it's likely also the finance. I'll include the Finance Committee report. That was also included in her report. So then we now move to Communications Director Bova. Do you have anything to report?
Yeah. We did a podcast today with Dean Busky talking about a bunch of different student life things. So just be prepared for that. Can I do my committee one too? So I think I might have to get out of here.
What'd you say?
Can I do my committee report too? Because I might have to leave in a second.
Yeah, you can do that.
All right. So committee-wise, please send me an introduction video of yourself. It literally doesn't have to be that long. It can be 20 seconds. We're trying to do a bunch of introductories of the senators so people know who you guys are, who we are. Wanted to get it done by the end of October, but the end of October is tomorrow and I haven't gotten a single one. So please try and do it as soon as you can. The new goal is by the end of November, but I'd love to get it done sooner than that. So please do that for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Communications Director Bova, and thank you for letting me know of your early departure. I appreciate that. Graphic Design Coordinator Fazal, do you have anything to report?
So I'm currently working on our October newsletter, which is essentially a summary of everything we've been doing and kind of want to say, from what we've gathered throughout the month of October. And that will be sent out soon once I finish it up. I'm currently, even right now, I'm working on little Halloween graphics for tomorrow so we can be like a little festive. I'm using the same little zombie design of our bison. I don't know if you guys went to Mocktail Mix-Off, but I made a sign with the zombified version, and that's the one I'm going with. To be festive and kind of get people interested in SGA, and through that is participating in the holidays and being like happy Halloween, and I almost forgot. I apologize. I got off topic. For our newsletter, if you guys have anything you want to say, any questions, anything you want to tell campus, reach out to me. You should have my information through Discord, or if I did it personally, just text me personally. Or you can fill out a graphics form and just kind of tell me if there's anything you need within the newsletter or you want out there. And this is kind of something that needs to be done as soon as possible, since we need to get that report out there as soon as possible. But again, it can just be anything like the Wi-Fi, or how you felt about today's meeting with Tim Wilson and how you think it's going to go, or important stuff relevant to SGA that I can send out in that report. But yeah, also I hope you guys have a wonderful Halloween.
All right, thank you, Representative Rizal. I'd like to issue a point of order I noticed a couple people on their phones. I only ask for maybe at most an hour, 15 minutes of your time, and not being on your phones is very appreciated during these meetings. So just putting that out there, general public service announcement. President Pro Tempore Graysinger is not here today and did not provide a report. We will now move to reports of the standing committees. Does the Rules Committee have anything to report?
We canceled our meeting the last Monday, so tonight we're going to be doing voting on constitutional stuff. So your Rules Committee, make sure you're there. And if you want to come, you can come anyways.
Thank you, Parliamentarian Reams. Finance Committee report was included in Treasurer Carter's report, as was the Communication Committee's report and in his report, Bova's report. Student Innovation Committee, the chair and vice chair of that committee are not currently present at this current time. Is anyone from that committee at the meeting right now? Senator Samora, is there anything you'd like to report on behalf of the committee? If not, that's fine.
So last meeting was canceled because of the president and vice president were unable to join. So we made the decision to just take that time and focus on academic goals. And pretty much our goals are still the same. We're looking to push out those resource papers. So that's student skill resources. We're also working on tabling, so we can also get some information on student concerns.
Thank you, Senator Samora. And Culinary Committee, Chief Staff Brixey is not here, but I know they have been working on the food survey, so again, appreciate you fill that out and get the word out on that. With that, we'll move to reports of the senators. Do any senators have anything to report? Senator Samora.
This is a report, but it's a question. I'm sorry. Was the communications videos for all the senators or just the senators in that committee?
All the senators.
Order, graphic design coordinator Giselle.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't mean to call out. I was just going to say, as part of that committee, I believe through communication with BOVA, it's essentially for everyone so people can get to know who you are. And like, because you're important, you know, the senators really are, again, the lifeblood of the SGA. And, you know, and I really appreciate each and every one of you being here. And it's important that people know who you guys are as well. You know, and it's just a way to get more involved and communicate, you know, who's working, how can we help you, what are we kind of like passionate and working for, you know. And that's kind of the deal. Again, sorry, call back. If any of you guys want anything in the newsletter, it's just to be heard. Come to me. Do not be afraid, because your voice is important and it needs to be heard. So if you have something that you want out there, a concern, something you feel passionate, or something that you've noticed on campus that you want to be like highlighted, let me know, because SGA is for the people of Point Park, and that's what we do. Thank you.
Does anyone, I know some other people were speaking, trying to say something on that. Does anyone else have anything to say on that? Now, is there any other reports of the senators? All right, if there are no further reports, we will move to old business. We have emergency funding, so I can get out document with the correct number here. Alright, so for emergency funding today, ASCE, the American Society for Civil Engineering is requesting $78.92. So, someone would like to make a motion for $78.92 for student organizations. Such a motion will be made and shall be accepted at this time. Senator Adams.
I make a motion to approve $78.92.
So moved. Is there a second? Graphic design coordinator Fazell, seconds. Is there any discussion?
This is for pizza, right?
Pizza and snacks.
Point of order, make sure to raise your hand next time. But yes, this is for pizza, I believe refreshments as well. Are there any further discussion? All right, with no further discussion, we'll take it to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the motion passes 10-0 with one abstention. We will now move to the creation of an adult ad hoc committee, which will be the only motion that I will likely make as vice president. I will move to create an ad hoc committee for the Adobe Access to implement the Adobe resolution that we voted on. As stated earlier, the Constitution gives me the authority to, any member of SGA, the authority to create, to motion to create an ad hoc committee. So, would anyone like to second this motion? Graphic design coordinator Fazell, seconds. With that said, is there any discussion? Senator Atkins.
What would the committee do?
We're going to research the prices for, that's a good question, I should have explained further. That's, we're going to research the prices that the university would pay for Adobe Access, should they provide it to us. And we're going to figure out and discuss ways that we can implement our resolution that we passed 2 weeks ago on the Adobe Access, resolution 1016-23.1. I believe that was the number of it. Figure out how we can take that resolution, which is the opinion of the student government, and make that into something that Point Park is actually going to do. It will be an ongoing process. It will likely be ongoing throughout the rest of the academic year. So yeah, we're just gonna try and figure out, it's like with the culinary committee, the purpose of an ad hoc committee is typically to focus on one singular issue that needs a committee focus. I believe that Adobe Access here on campus needs a committee focus. I'm only a political science student. Not all of us are communication students or animation majors, and people that use Adobe on a regular basis. So I believe a committee of individuals will be necessary to help implement this policy. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion? Graphic design coordinator Fazell.
I just wanted to say, I think you are absolutely right with that, Adobe, I'm using Adobe right now for SGA, right this second, Adobe is honestly, especially for those graphic design majors or animation majors, or even other majors who work with editing or whatnot, they're essential. And I guess if you really want something to be done, it's best it's done with people who are most passionate about it. Because those are the people who are going to strive to actually make change.
Thank you, graphic design coordinator Fazell. Is there any other discussion? Senator Atkins.
This is Adobe for all the students, like this is what the committee's going towards or trying to research.
Well, we're researching how to provide access. If we have to provide it for just the students that need to, that might be something what the committee would explore. The whole purpose of this committee is to, like I said, implement the resolution that we passed, resolution 1016-2023.1, which states that the opinion of the Student Government Association is to provide all access to everyone for Adobe. However, the university might not want to do that, so we need to find ways to implement Adobe access for people that need it, whether that be all the students, some of the students, or what have you. It'll be similar to the non-official, unofficial Wi-Fi committee thing that Mark has going on, except this will be an actual official ad hoc committee of the Student Government Association. Any further discussion? Being that there's no further discussion, we will take it to a vote. All those in favor of creation of an Adobe ad hoc committee, please raise your hand. All opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes 7-2 and the ad hoc committee is created. We now have another instance of emergency funding. Get the number up before the dies here. Pioneer Career Association is requesting $107.91 for their collaborative career conference refreshments. So for refreshments for their event, their upcoming event, they're anticipating more people than previously expected, so they need more refreshments to accommodate that. So if anyone would like to make a motion to approve $107.91, such motion will be accepted at this time. Graphic design coordinator Gazelle.
I motion for them to have the proper funds needed for more refreshments.
All right. So moved. Is there a second? Senator Adams, seconds. Is there any discussion? Being that there is no discussion, we will take it to a vote. I also want to, we'll take it to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Senator Harris, are you sure you want to vote on this as the president of the organization? All right. All opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, Senator Harris. The motion passes 10-0 with one abstention. We're now moving to our second open floor. Does anyone have anything for the second open floor? No one has anything for the second open floor. We will move to announcements. Pioneer Pause is tomorrow, all day tomorrow, 31st. No classes. It's meant to be a mental health day. So I encourage you all, if you don't have any prior commitments or anything like that, to please take a mental health day. It's very important as college students to take care of ourselves. I also put on here that the November elections are a little over a week away on Tuesday, November 7th. It is important for that representative democracy to work. The individuals go out and vote and participate in our democracy. So please go out and vote next Tuesday and have your voices heard. Is there any other announcements? Parliamentarian Reyes.
I have started the process of getting an ESA. Thank you.
All right. What is an ESA?
Emotional support animal. A dog.
Yes, of course. Any other announcements? Senator Atkins.
Do you have a name in mind?
Maisie, but her name is already Penelope, so
Oh,
I might keep
middle
it.
name.
I don't know. Middle name, maybe. Maybe she'll have like a full name. She's so cute. I
is November 6th, right back here in Lawrence Hall 200. And being no further business before this body, this meeting is adjourned at 4:30 p.m.